It doesn't matter what you're thinking about the national picture of things. The elections. Of course, in Madison County, we're up about 5 or 6 thousand people. I'm going to go up there to vote absentee today, and normally we do 1,000 people, and we're doing 5,000 people, and they look like they're conservatives. So I feel good about that.
Nice.
But anyway, let's talk to Byron here for a second. So,
Good morning, Byron.
give us the introduction of you.
First, I'd say heard there was a line in Raymond yesterday to absentee vote.
That's good. That's very good.
But yeah, my name is Byron Carter. I'm fifth generation Mississippian. Grew up in North Mississippi and came to Jackson to law school, and then left for a little while to go out of state and came back.
Where'd you go out of state to?
Montgomery, Alabama.
Oh, Alabama.
Went there to a law firm where I did was write briefs for appeals.
There you go. There you go.
I got critiqued by my employer telling me I write like I speak, which
Okay.
is not Queen's English.
Well, get closer to the mic. Yes, I understand. And look, I'm looking at your thing, and it says make Mississippi courts conservative again, educated, ethical, experienced. Of course, currently sitting in the chair is Jim Kitchens, and he is what 81, and when this term is over, he'll be 89. 89.
It's an 8-year term. People keep asking why it's 8 years. Well, a federal magistrate's for 8 years, but it's a compromise on lifetime versus being elected.
Right. And I think and look, there's the lifetime thing I kind of like sometimes, but the 8 years is good too. The 8 years is good. It's better than 4.
4 would be horrible.
Yes.
And if you ever run for any office, especially like this, it'd really be horrible.
And to me, it's like Mike Cheney the other day at Grip and Grin brought up the fact that we need to do away with electing our insurance commissioners, because the situation becomes you got 2 people running and $2 million has to be raised on one side, $2 million raised on the other, and sooner or later the people that gave the money are going to want some payback.
Right.
And it seems to me like that may be a problem in the Supreme Court's justice system in Mississippi, because you got people that are backing people. You got people coming out saying that they're endorsing people, and they're speaking for a large group of people. And some of those people in that group, you didn't ask my opinion. I'm in that group. I was a delegate. So I feel like if you were going to be a Republican delegate, we would have voted that we were going to back somebody in a nonpartisan race. And look, they have sent me all kind of legal opinions on it. I've gotten for speaking on the subject. They said what we do is what we're allowed to do. But I don't think it's right in a nonpartisan race for the party to chime in.
You're winning me over.
Thank
I'll
you.
vote for you.
I'll be running for mayor candidate in January, and although you don't live in my district, up there they allow that. So you just run on up there and can. But I mean, that's the rules. It's like J.D. Vance on the stage the other night. The first thing he said was, if you not J.D. Vivek, he says, if you broke the laws to get in America, that's the first thing, we go by the law.
Right.
Now they've sent me all kind of legal opinions and this and that and the other on being involved in a nonpartisan race, and I'm just of the opinion, well, you represent the delegates of the state. I don't know how many delegates there was, 1,200, 1,400, I don't know how many it was. It was a bunch of us, and and that we adopted the laws of the group. So the group has laws, and then they don't go by them. That is a problem for me.
Let's call them rules instead of laws.
Rules. Well,
Aren't they rules?
What were the bylaws?
Okay, but they're bylaws of the group.
Of the
They're not
group.
laws like state laws. that
Well,
they're breaking.
yeah, and they sent me the state law because
Right.
there was a legal case back a few years ago where somebody sued somebody, and so they sent me the legal opinion on that. Where did I
It's a
put-
federal court
And-
case from 2020.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
And see, he's talking to me who was a candidate, and like I'm the one that kind of took it in the neck over this because I'm part of the Republican women, and they could not endorse me because it was a primary. So literally, I could not get any help out of the Republican
Well,
women
it's like Cassidy.
because of the rules.
It's
So
like
I mean, I think they're kind of stupid.
It's
but
like-
it's not.
it's like in the GOP case when Cassidy was running against Guest.
Right.
They took the incumbent side. You cannot. That's
yeah.
not the rules. The
Right.
rule the bylaws say do not take a side. And they sent me this saying in a nonpartisan race it did you're splitting hairs now.
Well, my problem with it is that there was no primary.
Right.
There
Right.
They didn't send out any letters, emails, or anything else to say, is this the candidate you support? It's an executive committee, which I can't even determine whether that's 5 people or 100 people. I've looked, and there are no bylaws that I can find.
Well-
So they are speaking for a group, and you can't even go to a Baptist church and change the color of the carpet without a vote of the whole church. The elders don't decide that color, the whole church does.
I mean, this is bureaucracy inside the Republican Party in Mississippi. This is something that Jameson Haygood will be talking about again today. But and everybody's going, well, Chip, who do you support? I go, well, at one time I had an opinion on who I supported, and then I go and I do some research, and one candidate's been there, has been in office for 81 years. The other candidate was the head of appropriation, was on the appropriations committee, and you go, well, that person is right around where all the money is. And then all of a sudden, that's the person that's got all the money. I'm not going to mention names. I'm just.
And it's not cheap to run.
No.
It takes a lot of time and a lot of money. And
I-
I've been attacked by one lady because I stuck a card on her door.
yeah.
She said that she immediately was going to throw it on the ground and litter, but decided not to do that. She'd rather mail it back to me, and gave me a long letter of how I was so horrible for putting that on her door.
Oh my goodness.
I mean,
A lot of
the people don't know what people
are
go through when you run for office.
Well, and a lot of people are just mad, and they're gonna take it out on whoever's right in front of them.
So
I'm
that's
sorry
where
that
I'm
happened
at.
to you, though.
So let's talk about why we should vote for you.
I've been practicing law for almost 40 years. I clerked for the Supreme Court, which no other candidate did. While there, I wrote opinions. I wrote briefs. Actually, my judge, I'm told that I'm quiet. My judge sent me to talk to other judges to find out why they would not get on board with the opinions that we were trying to get passed, and see if we could work things out, which I did. I enjoyed doing it, and when I left, I said I'll be back, because it's tailor made for my personality, my brain. It's me, and so I said I would be back, and I have worked for the last 40 years. I haven't exclusively been writing briefs, but I have written a lot of briefs, and argued a couple of times in front of the court, which I don't generally ask for oral argument because I think it's a waste of time. But I've done that. I'm the only candidate that's had all the number of cases that I've had in Mississippi and Alabama, because nobody else has done that.
Well, all my cases were in Tennessee. I'm not a lawyer, but I've been involved in a lot of cases and opinions.
I have not been involved in
Okay. Well,
So I'm
give
sitting
it
on the
time.
opposite
You're,
side of y'all.
you're hanging out with the right guy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we're going to take a break, and we're going to be back with Byron Carney running for Supreme Court Justice what district would that be?
The Central District, which
Central.
is 22 counties.
22 counties. And we're going to go through all of that, and we'll be back on the Chip Matthews Show right here on WYAB. And we'll be back on the Chip Matthews Show right here on I danced around that okay, didn't I?
Yeah.
Without-
YAB.
Okay.
Need that bathroom or kitchen
I saw her
remodel
last
done,
night.
like
Huh?
yesterday?
I saw her last
Jennifer?
Ready to see what that
No,
updated place will cost, finally. Hello,
Leslie.
I'm Patrick
Okay.
Kelty of Kelty Power.
Smiled at her. I'm sure to get her eye.
What did you run for if they couldn't
And any
support
other questions you
I
may
ran
have,
on the
feel free to
Republican
come.
ticket
It's a
to
daunting
run against
task
Benny.
trying to start
And
something
see,
that you really don't
in the
do,
primary,
but
we
you
had
want every
3,
couple decades.
and I ran
understand
Brian
that.
Flowers'
Here at
campaign,
Kelty
and pretty
Tile,
much did
our
everything for
spirit to
him.
work for you.
And then he got mad at me because I told him to take a post down about the election audit that I did in Hines County, and he got mad at me and backed the third person. So Eller and the other guy took it, and I got outed. I got 20% basically on my own because nobody helped me.
For cost-effective repairs and maintenance, go to the best Mayo Auto Clinic. Open
It's a warm body in that seat can win. I mean, it has. We won in 2022.
Every grip.
Then he was asleep at the wheel on election day, and we won. Nobody showed up. Huh?
He's not campaigning now, that's the thing.
One man at a
he's not
time.
campaigning.
He's a vote
Yeah.
candidate. Drifts to
I mean,
innovation.
I would be willing to bet he don't want to win. I mean, he's gonna be in hell.
Well, how old is he?
Donate a vehicle. Running
Well,
Do you do any work in Tennessee? On the Sixth Circuit?
572-7296.
I need to get an opinion, an appeal.
What are people saying
Put in.
about Tom's Fried Pies in Richland?
I have been suing. I'm part of a recording studio in Memphis. We bought the House of Blues recording studio. We have a $23 million lawsuit against Hanover. We've been in court now for 8 years. We have a judge. What is the judge's name? I can't. Little short guy who chokes everybody. Chokes lawyers. I like that part of him, but he's crook. McCullough. And he when they ruled and gave us the money, that he ruled that they made a mistake and they shouldn't have given us the money. Our studio, they stole all of our equipment out of our studio and moved it to Florida and sold it. The insurance company did. You can't take my studio. It's like wrecking my car. You can't take my car and then say you're not going to pay me. But that's what they've done. And we've been in court forever fighting over it.
State or federal court?
Federal. And the Sixth Circuit that went to the Supreme, went all the way up, and went to Cincinnati, did oral arguments. They gave us our money, and then came back down and sent it back to the lower court. And the lower court said, "No, we're not going to give you the money."
And this advertisement is easy for me to read because I
And they can do that.
And the war continues.
They can do that. I sat in court and watched the judge come in and basically break every rule in the book just because he knew I'm doing it wrong, but it's going to take a long time for it.
Okay, you got to.
Get back to it.
price higher together.
And it did.
For all your gun and accessory needs, visit Guns and Gear on Highway 51 in Gluckstadt. Gun shopping in Central Mississippi will never be
How'd
the same
Sharon do
again.
last night?
Guns and Gear is not your average gun store. Our goal is to
Great.
provide quality
We had to do all the work,
service at a
but
price that
great.
women and women
She went
can
and
afford. Whether you're an avid hunter, competitive shooter,
kissed hands and
survivalist,
shaked babies and all of that.
friends and
Yeah.
family, Guns
She
and
did what
Gear
you normally
is here
do,
for all
and
your
you did
guns
what she
and
normally
accessory
does.
needs. Visit us at Guns and Gear MS.
I hear what you're saying. Sitting there thinking,
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
We talk, we don't talk. I try not to talk at all when we're not on the air. Because all the good stuff,
No antibiotics, no grains.
like out there, I asked you a bunch of questions that I should have asked you in here, and I'm trying to remember.
Do we use
I don't-
mRNA vaccines?
So we just talked about the restaurant and all.
I was a rock and roll DJ. I started Z106 back.
I tried to do that.
Where?
At WCPC in Houston, I went there and talked to them about being a DJ at night, and they showed me how everything worked, and then said, "But we're not doing it."
Yeah.
Okay. And we're back live on a Tuesday here at WYAB. And of course, beautiful day outside, a little foggy. You ought to be careful as you're driving. But we got in the studio with this Byron Carter, and he is here because I have been upset with the situation. And I'm getting texted a million miles an hour from
Oh no.
a dual host here, a host that comes on here from time to time, fills in. And he wants to know, do you believe that constitutional rights are absolute?
Sure, I do, but then you start to define that, and there's no clear definition. That's why we have lawsuits.
Okay.
If it was cut in stone, then there wouldn't be any lawsuits.
Okay.
It's the
Okay.
interpretation of what it says in black and white.
Does the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court justice extend beyond the Constitution? In other words, if the Constitution does not apply, does the Supreme Court still have jurisdiction? He's a former FBI agent, by the way.
Multifaceted question. Jurisdiction is based upon the qualifications of how you got to the court, so that question really doesn't make a lot of sense, to be honest.
Okay.
Can you go beyond the Constitution to define what some rights are? Well, the Constitution should define those rights. I don't know when you would
Yeah.
ever go beyond that.
Right. The Constitution is the Constitution.
Right.
That's what you should go by. And who's a Supreme Court justice you align with, past or present?
United States Supreme Court would be Byron White, I guess, because
Yes.
I worked for an attorney for about 14 months during law school, and at the end, he wrote a nice long letter about me and used Byron White as being my name.
There you go.
So he didn't know who I was. I've never really concentrated on any particular
You're just
person.
your own man, right?
I'm me.
Yeah.
So, it sounds stupid, but I mean, I follow the law, follow the Constitution. I don't.
Well, I think that maybe that's the big discussion from kind of a novice side, like me, is that, you know, we want somebody who is gonna not legislate from the bench.
I knew you were going to use that word,
Yeah,
and that makes no sense in this campaign. You cannot legislate from the bench in the Mississippi Supreme Court.
okay,
It is written. It is works in such a way that is impossible.
okay,
The opinions are, you have 3 judge panels, and if someone in those 3 judges dissents from the 3 judge, then it's going to go to the entire. It's going to go. It depends on if you're from North Mississippi like me. It's in bank.
right,
If you want to be correct in it, they would say en banc, but
Okay.
I don't speak that. But it would go before all those judges, so you would have to have 9 judges legislate from the bench, and it's just not going to happen.
okay,
So that whole phrase of saying that really bothers me. It gets under my nerves.
okay.
So basically, that's a word that has been used that does not count. I mean, it's what is people put in. You know, it's sort of like bureaucracy. They put in some added stuff that you think you got to jump through hoops for. And see, my thing is when the rules are written down and you go by, and this is the same as the rules we were talking about with the GOP, that those are the rules you go by, and only those rules. And I mean, we have the Constitution, we have the 10 Commandments, and somewhere in there, all of that works together. Any way you look at it, I know it's separation of church and state, but the Constitution was based on the 10 Commandments and all of those things. So,
Right.
you know, otherwise stealing would be illegal.
You just set me off on something else.
Okay.
The separation of church and state. When our forefathers came here, they had been persecuted for their religion because
Right.
they weren't a particular religion. You can certainly, I believe our Constitution says that you can support religion. You
Right.
just can't I can't point at you and you're going to be Baptist and you're going to be Methodist. I can't do that.
Right.
I've got to say that there's a separation. But I mean, our bankruptcy code, it says in your record, I believe it used to be for 7 years, things changed to 10 now, but that came from the Bible. So, I mean,
Oops.
I mean,
Oops.
we have a lot of things that came from the Bible and a lot of things that came from just being persecuted in other countries, and you came here to get away from it.
Right.
Okay. So,
But I was thinking about another thing. I hate the words conservative and liberal
right,
because they mean whatever it means to you.
right.
And so you use a word, hey, I'm conservative, or hey, I'm liberal. Well, what does that mean? I don't know what that means. It
so-
depends on how you particularly define it yourself.
So if you're conservative constitutional, what are you?
I don't know. There's articles written trying to define what that is because I've tried to ask. I've gone to Oxford, to Ole Miss, and I asked people there.
But at least you went to where the smart people are.
Well, I went to MC too. I asked there too. I haven't gotten an answer, and I've looked to see what it really means, and I've talked to somebody that Nick Light, whose opinion I
Right.
gave a lot to, and he gave me an explanation, which I think is probably accurate, but I don't really know what it means.
Okay, Taylor, what do you think it means?
A constitutional conservative means that they are going to enforce, they're going to follow the Constitution as it is written. They're not going to interpret how they think
Okay, so
that the Constitution.
that's the Constitution. We understand that part. Now the conservative part. Does that mean that some of it you might not include? That's
No.
according to how you define it.
But that's
Well,
impossible
yeah.
to do because you have to, when you read a word, you've got to define what that word means.
Right.
And if you look in almost, not every word, but if you look at almost any word in the dictionary, there are multiple meanings.
There are.
So if you look at the Constitution and you read it, we both can read the same thing and it's
Right.
in black and white, but we
Right.
may not think it reads the exact same way.
And
Right.
that's why we're bringing 2 dictionaries to the bar at Acme Pizza.
Okay.
So that
Two
we,
dictionaries.
that way we have a guy there that's a never Trumper.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And he's a brain, and he was a professor. He did some schools. He's got a lot of books learning. But we're going to take a 1980 dictionary and a current dictionary, and when words come up, we're going to look at them in both and see if they both say the same thing, and then ask him what it is. Because he's not going to
And we
agree.
all, you brought up age, so we all have different experiences in life. So when you read something, it's going to mean a little bit different from one
Right.
person to another, one generation.
Right.
And
But-
I'm told what
well, and
Generation
see,
Z
I-
thinks, which I hope they don't.
Did
Some
they
of the
think
things-
what?
A lot of different things that I hear and I go, surely not.
Yeah.
Okay, now he's in a race, y'all. Just to understand, because somebody asked me who texted me and asked me who else in the race. This is Byron Carter. He's running for Supreme Court Justice. He's running against Jennifer Branning, who is a senator, current senator of the Mississippi, and then Jim Kitchens, who is the current sitting Supreme Court Justice.
Correct.
And then there's another guy. What's the other guy?
There's
There's two males and 3 females.
Okay, what's the other?
Ciola James is the female.
and she's
then
a-
there's
and she-
another female, and actually, to
Abby.
be honest, I can't remember. her
Abby
name.
Gate Robinson.
And
Abigail Robinson.
and how many are the Republicans?
Oh.
Are the one I know you're not picking sides, but the ones that are considered Republican are you and Jennifer and Kitchens.
No, he's on the other side supposedly. If
Okay.
you start drawing those lines.
Okay, do you draw those lines that way because he lives in a district where you have to vote Democrat? I'm
I
asking.
don't have a clue.
I would
I'm
say because
told
his
off.
language, his language tells me that he's a Democrat because he's using words like democracy, defending democracy.
Okay,
And I'm like, well,
that explains that.
you know,
But my thing
Majority rules
and the
in
reason why I asked
democracy.
that question is because I'm dummy. I'm a dummy. And the reality is this: you know, you want the conservative as a Republican. I want the guy that wants to be in it. So let's just ask you. Let's just who are you going to vote for, president? Oh, good.
You want me to cite the code? I read the code of judicial conduct this morning. I thought you were going to push the limit of that.
Okay.
I mean, I don't really want, you know, I don't necessarily know that I want you to be Republican or Democrat.
You
Looking
don't?
at me, I don't. I mean, when I was the last time that I was in court and dealing with this stuff with the election fraud, the judge walked in. There was not a single person in the courtroom wearing a mask, and he walked in out of his chambers with a mask on and sat down and then took it off. And I'm like, if that's not telling me what your party is, I don't know what it is.
Well, in our election fraud case up in Canton, the judge ruled that I was the only one to receive legal votes, but I wasn't allowed to take the chair. That wasn't the judge, that was the jury, but I wasn't allowed to be the mayor. But the guy that currently sits in the chair as mayor had no legal votes. And the law is the person with the most legal votes win, right?
Right.
But when we were watering Voyeur, not voyeuring, what is it? Voir dire.
Or voir dire. Depends on again.
Voir-
where you-
We were doing the jury. The first thing he did says, Blackman stood up and said, how many people have a Trump sticker on their car? People were saying, they removed all those people from the room. They said, how many people in here voted for Trump?
Are you kidding me?
Removed all those people from the room. Then they picked up the thing and they said, how many people in here know Chip? Removed all those people from the room. One guy, he kept saying, Chip, I worked for you for 10 years and I didn't recognize him. I feel so bad about that. And he was an officer that had worked for me at one of my nightclubs. And I was just like, you look different, not in your uniform. I didn't recognize you. Sorry. But that's the way they did. They removed everybody from it. Then
Using your vote, they removed somebody from.
they removed him from the jury. And
From being
then
able to
and then
participate.
then my lawyer, who threw me under the bus basically, because he should have fought for certain things, because we each had 36 strikes. We used 6. The other side used 36. And I mean, they only had a few to pick from. And some of the people that were selected were even people that worked in the Democratic Party in Madison County. And I was just like,
Yep.
thanks.
Yep.
Thanks.
My one experience with being on a jury was I tried to be in federal court on the jury, and the judge brought me up to the front and said, do you know these attorneys? I said, I know both sides. I've had cases against both of them. And then he said, well, could you be fair? And I said, sure. I'm not going to side with either one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Before I could make it back to my seat, they'd already
Oh, yeah.
either one struck me or he did.
Oh, yeah. That's the way that goes. But I was just sitting there when we were doing the jury picking, and I was just going, we're not going to have anybody left in the room in no time. Because, and technically, I would say, looking at the room, most of the people in there were Republican. We had a guy in there that was that wrote for a Republican newspaper and this, that, and the other, wrote for the Conservative and this, that, and the other. And he was going, this is just wrong. Everybody knew it was wrong, but that's that. Justice is never fast. And depending on your attorney, it's as good as it can get. So remember, your attorney is the most important thing you carry into the courtroom. And if your attorney's not representing you, this is my opinion, and I don't know what a judge would think about this. Start talking as the client. Start talking when your lawyer starts to suck. You just got to get up and say, hey, this guy's getting to be a nut. And they're gonna say you sit down for a little while, but that's what I've learned, and that's done us well up in Memphis. We at one point we just stood up and said, yeah, y'all not doing that's right. So,
Well,
but
I had a hearing yesterday where my client, the judge asked him to speak, and he gave about somewhere between 5 and 10 minute monologue, which he did very well with. Of course, I wanted to shut up about 4 or 5 times.
oh yeah, lawyers always want you never to speak, but that's the case. I mean, sometimes it's not getting out like you need it to get out. So let's see what else we got here on your
Your
card.
clients are quite often impatient with, an attorney has a plan of how it's going to go and the order we need it to go and the order the judge is going to listen and how you want it to go, but they want to jump out there and say what they want to say now.
Right.
I mean, the biggest problem, is people. The court system doesn't seem fair because it takes so much time. I'm thinking about a case right now. I'm all into the Rudy Warnock case. If you're familiar with that at all, Rudy Warnock was an engineer in Madison County. He has had 13 delays in his federal case. How much does that cost the taxpayer each time? That does cost us each time there's a delay, right?
Yes.
Okay, now Mike Espy is going to testify in the case now because I guess he knows that he was sitting in the room and he probably needed to come clean on some stuff that occurred in that case. But I mean, I'm just sitting there going, how do you delay a case 13 times? One, to get the case in the courtroom, you had to have an argument to get there to begin with, right? So nothing's changed, really, other than new deals are being worked for people to go home.
You spur my brain a lot, but that's one of the things I've thought about with the Supreme Court is back when I clerked there, the delay was like 4 years in getting an opinion,
Right.
3-4 years, which was really ridiculous. But it's narrowed down to where it's around 9.5 months for the Supreme Court now, which I still think it needs to be faster.
Well, we got ours in like 3 months.
David
You know?
Archie has just now gotten his back.
Well,
And I mean, that was October of last year that we submitted that and got that thrown out. And that's the whole reason that the judge did that, is because he knew it would take, he knew that he was doing something wrong, but he went ahead and do it.
But it's
because
just
he
like,
knew
but it's just like
gonna
the
take a year.
supervisor race in Madison County a few years back, where they gave the opinion the day before the election of the next election.
yeah.
So
yeah.
thank you very much.
Well, I mean, we've got a supervisor down there that's dropping guns and carrying guns into conferences and into the Board of Supervisors meetings. And I mean, we've literally got the election that is still,
Is a gun not
we've
allowed?
got tons of, no,
Yeah.
he's not allowed to carry a gun into the Board of Supervisors. You have to go through a metal detector to get into
You're talking Hines County?
uh-huh,
They
in Hines
actually walk
County.
around it.
Yeah. Oh, do they? Well, I mean, he took a gun into a conference down in Florida and dropped it in the middle of the conference floor even.
Well,
This is, and this is my supervisor. I'm thrilled.
okay.
But
Okay, we got to pay some bills. And we'll
Okay.
be back on WYAB.
Chip always says we got to pay bills when he wants me to shut up.
The security guard that does that is mad at me
Keep it
now
tuned here to
because I had a
103.9
client a couple of weeks ago that
WYAB.
we came through for our hearing, and her now ex-husband was an ass to her when he came through because they won't let clients take their cell phones. He just went off on
Oh,
her.
yeah. The cell phone
Well,
thing.
my client comes through a little bit later, and she says, "Is this your husband?" And shows the camera, and she said, "Yeah, it is." Said, "Well, I hope you have a good attorney because that guy's an asshole." Well, I went upstairs and I just happened to say something about it. Well, they went back down and reprimanded her versus telling my client that she did anything at all.
Yeah.
But now when I walk in, yesterday she basically did a strip search, and I'm going, "You know I'm not carrying a gun." And she said, "I know you're not carrying a gun, but you got that pin on."
Bring the family
And
into
you got-
one of our axe-throwing lanes.
and I had,
Learn to hit the target like a
got
pro.
one judge
Have
requires a
fun doing it.
mask.
Experience
I had a
what's
mask
happening
in my
hitting the
pocket,
bullseye.
which I didn't
Enjoy
realize that
delicious
you
food
nose
in a full
thing
bar
set off
in a
the
vibrant
metal.
atmosphere.
And
Whether you're a seasoned
It
pro or
did.
first time
For
pro,
real.
join us.
They make you wear a mask in court?
One judge
Corporate
does.
events to live music.
He doesn't wear one, but
Black
everybody
Bar and
else
Grill,
does.
up in 49
Who?
Old Fannin Road, Brandon, and at
Chantry
blackaxesms.com.
Court. She makes you,
Why?
when you walk in the door, you got
For
to
middle
jump
name
in.
why?
Donald Trump heads to Pennsylvania's
Yes.
Latino
No,
Belt
no, no,
Power
it's not her.
backlash over a comedian's joke
Okay.
about
This-
Puerto
this one
Rico
has
at a rally
sanctioned
Sunday. CBS's
by
Jake
attorney.
Rosen.
The Trump campaign has really
At least.
said all
We're not
along
wearing
that
them
it's these
And
countries
she said
that they're
yesterday she
targeting
sanctioned
to
it.
make inroads with as we get closer to the election.
Hearing
They
the
have
ad
not
yesterday
seen an
with her, she
apology.
said
Court
something
appearance
about
in Minneapolis
some,
today for John Sawchak, accused
there
of shooting
was an
and wounding
argument
his
over
neighbor
whether the
after
other
a
side had paid a
harassment
guardian
campaign.
litem fee. And she
David
said,
Turi, who lives next
other
door,
attorney
wants to
said,
know
well,
why it took
she
police
had,
months
she
to
has, we
respond.
think she has, we'll
CBS's
check and
Sharon
find
Hill.
out. He
Majority of
said,
his
make
wife
a comment
filed
that,
at least
well, you won't check
19
with that
police
clerk
reports
because I
against
sanctioned
Sarchak
her.
for months. The harassment, police said it was racial.
Oh, Hinkle is
Crazy.
Hinkle is exploding.
She think-
Companies are not
See, those are the kind of judges that we have trouble, that are
She
our
has
problems.
CBS's Nancy
Yeah,
Chen.
exactly.
And she's about to go on maternity leave. I'm told this Friday. I advocate that with her, so if she's not continuing it because if she continues it, and says she's on leave now, she won't get as long a leave, and they have to pay somebody else to fill in.
Right.
So she's not gonna, she's gonna pretend she's there.
Right.
And get paid.
Roofing on your
I'm
side,
like,
you can weather
That's
any storm.
great.
Our experienced team specializes
And I meant
in
that
hail
yesterday
damages
if we were still
and
on.
restoration, ensuring your home stays safe and
Of course.
secure. From
In
minor
Hi- in
repairs
Hines
to
County.
full roof replacements,
Of course, in Hines
Watkins
County.
delivers
Of course,
quality
it's Hines
craftsmanship
County.
and peace of mind every step of the way. Call Watkins
Practical
today for
law.
a complimentary roof inspection. 601-966-8233
Yeah.
or no more roof
It's-
leak.com.
Very few attorneys that are really good
When
for
love requires a gift, nothing's
There's
better
one.
than offering. Since 1928, we've been
Yeah, I'm in the
from
middle of a
weddings to
divorce.
anniversaries to
And we
holidays.
just,
We've been there for
Madison
every
County?
profession.
No, in Hines
At
County.
Albertons, we value your trust.
Hines County.
Every gift, whether large or small.
We haven't been assigned. I just responded to the
There's a reason we're
papers,
still
but my attorney's
almost down
Judy
the road.
Barnett.
Let us show you why.
So,
Alberton
She
Chevrolet,
killed it,
4460 Old
Did-
Dayton
oh.
Road in
So she represents my ex-wife.
yeah.
My ex-wife made a
Why
statement
should you
after
choose
we
air
walked out.
conditioning and
and said,
heating for home service or installation? Well, they purchase all
had a
parts
bad
directly from the
attitude about
manufacturer.
my
All
son
of their
or something.
factory trained technicians have been
I paid
hand
for
selected
everything
for
for my
skill,
son,
work
including
ethic,
from
and
haircuts all the way
experience.
up
There's
until
never any
my
hidden
client
fees
said,
or charges.
"No paper haircuts,
Ceramic
you
air
know, look at
conditioning and
that."
heating is dedicated to your complete satisfaction and your family owned and operated. For residential and
Well,
commercial service or
I needed
installation,
a bulldog,
contact Remy Air Conditioning
and,
and Heating, 601-317-0729, or make
Yeah.
an appointment through their Facebook page.
Efficient and trouble-free payroll processing is crucial to
Yeah.
a business's success, and a
Yeah.
lot of businesses are struggling with it.
And you start talking about
Own
stuff.
local payroll
Yeah, we don't have
providers not
kids,
only
so we're
offers
lucky that way,
online
but,
software, but also provide on-demand
he's
payroll
tried to
support
take everything
services.
from us.
With People Lease,
I'm gonna. my commercials aren't long enough.
your payroll
What do you know about
process.
this Howie guy
The
that
expertise
y'all are all
in managing
using?
payroll challenges, and
That was
will
just
work
me.
hard to understand
No,
your business
hey, Ron Eller's using them
That's
too.
what
Oh,
People
I
Lease
didn't know that.
perfect
That's how I
for.
found it. When I started talking, somebody said Howie. I went,
Peoplelease.com.
can't be the same guy. So we need to talk about that. I need to understand more what he's.
Not on the air.
I am Chip Matthews, star of the Chip Matthews Show.
Good morning, Chip.
Oh, okay. And then there's of course Taylor the blonde,
Yeah, I'm the blonde.
Tracy. I used to call her Tracy. I don't know why. And then of course in the studio with us also Byron Carter, running for Supreme Court Justice. I've got questions here. We were getting on the subject of something other than this, and I'm just going to go ahead and ask you. Raising money for your campaign. Have you been successful? You're running big TV commercials and all of that with big endorsements on them or anything?
No, I don't, I'm not very successful in raising money.
Okay.
The people that I grew up with and the friends of mine, I guess first, they don't donate to campaigns, period.
Right.
And then the other thing is they don't have a lot of extra money lying around to donate, so they don't do that either.
So that's big PACs and super groups and all that are putting money behind candidates. And once again, that's back to the same thing that occurs in the insurance races. You know, I'm just saying people want favors, and that's that.
Well, I mean, people want favors for every election, so maybe we need to talk about all candidates
No, I'm
having
talking
the
about-
same amount of money, no matter what election
Okay.
they're running in.
And you know, Ron Eller's running for office, and the Mississippi GOP has not given him a single dollar. Not a single dollar. And he is the only person that can change Homeland Security. He's the only person. Donald Trump winning doesn't change Homeland Security, but Benny Thompson getting defeated changes it immediately. And that's why I'm supporting Ron Eller.
Well, we're all supporting Ron Eller, but
But anyway, and he's got the.
I can't say I am or am not.
no.
Yeah, you cannot. Okay,
That's
okay,
fine.
but okay,
I'll
so
take that from you.
okay,
since
so
you're
let's
running for judge.
okay, let's mess up with his brain now. The Constitution says what it says and nothing else. Otherwise, 5 hotshot lawyers would run the country. Anthony Scalia. What are your thoughts on that?
Uh,
If I gotta
I'm
wait,
thinking
if
about
I gotta
what-
wait 4
I'm
months for a
thinking-
legal opinion.
I'll get back to you in 270
What-
days. Wow. Well,
I mean-
what we were taught in law school, and I heard another candidate, not in this race in the Southern District, say we were taught the Constitution is a living and breathing document.
Correct.
So it changes over time. So it is in black and white, but our country has changed and things have changed. Just like we didn't have cell phones 250 years ago, I don't think.
No, and you still can't have one in a courtroom.
Correct. Well, attorneys can, except in Madison County.
Yes.
I mean, and I'm not sure where the 5 number came from because it's 9 justices, but I mean, it is black and white and it says what it says, but you still have interpretations, and everybody's interpretation is going to be a little different because of your life experiences, but they're not going to be substantially different.
Right.
Uh,
I agree with
I
that.
may get back to you on that 270 days.
Okay.
I mean, that's not an easy question to answer.
Okay. But I mean, basically, the Constitution is the guideline for all of them.
Correct.
For all 5 of them. But
and I
and you know, you
The
have a
code-
lot, and
the
you
code
have
doesn't let me talk about specific issues, but I can say I've always had a problem. I think I can say this. I've always had a problem when you have 2 different areas of the Constitution that look like they're diametrically opposed to
Right.
each other. And so, which one do you decide carries more weight than the other one? You have a right to free speech, but you don't have a right to
right.
bake a cake for somebody.
Oh, I agree with you there.
And so all those get into issues where you've got to have a balancing.
I mean, the scales of justice. They call them the scales of justice for a reason.
Maybe a lot of us normies, everyday people, are trying to use a conservative judge for more of a right or wrong.
And that's why I
Because-
said you can't define conservative, because I can tell you what conservative means to me, but if I had you define it, we would, well.
Well, let's ask you that. Can you say what conservative means to you?
Yeah, I will. But
Okay.
I thought about it, and when I was speaking at the Shelby County Fair, if we sent out a card to everybody there to write down what conservative means to you, we would have substantially the same answers, but it wouldn't all be the same.
Right.
Right.
I think conservative means we have certain things that the government should provide for us. And that would be police protection, fire protection, and I think schools.
Okay.
Although, well, you'll have to do your own research about what one of our candidates says about that. But those are things that are provided by the federal government. I don't need the federal government to tell me everything that I'm supposed to do.
Right.
I'm not
Limited
gay. I can
government.
say that, but I don't think you should be in somebody's bedroom telling them what they should or shouldn't be doing.
Correct.
Right.
So that's where I draw a line with conservatives. It should be a limited government. That's what I think conservative means.
Right. Right.
How you read the sentence from the Constitution, I don't know how you can say that's conservative. Or
So technically, you should be conservative in public, and then whatever else goes on. I mean, basically,
Well,
that's the
years-
rule. That's what
A decade ago, people would say I'm fiscally conservative and socially liberal. It is kind of what used to people would say, because I mean I'm kind of like that. I don't, the government and money and all that's conservative, but as far as socially, I want people to be able to do what they want. I want if you're not hurting anybody else, just like in your bedroom, I don't care. I'm not going to tell you who to
sound
be
a
in
lot
love
like
with.
me, so now I'm winning you over.
there you go. But I mean, that's
And I look at people in the state of Mississippi, and I don't think, I know there are extremes on anything I
Right.
say, but for the most part, I don't think we have anybody in Mississippi who's conservative or liberal that are extremes. I think we're in the middle.
Well, it's just
If
like-
we
I think-
really wrote everything down for every single person and compared. I think we're a whole lot alike.
it's just
Yeah.
like when you think about Democrats in this state, the ones that you've got the radicals, but the real Democrats are Christians that go to church and do the
They're
right thing.
conservative Democrats.
You're a conservative Democrat, and that's the old. I mean, that party doesn't exist anymore. Just like the Republican Party it's splintered too. You have those that just say, "Oh no," and we know what's best for y'all, and that's what's going on. Is a bureaucracy inside the government, which I'm starting to understand a little bit more about what they say Trump's going to do, and he's going to come in and he's already got his staff together and ready to roll, and got rid of all the lobbyists and everything. I dare say what could happen, and I mean I don't know what's legal and what's not legal, but you know it's going to be a giant reset, and we don't, and the court system's going to be full.
Right.
Yes, it is.
And I've always grown up, I guess, I've always said I hated politics, but I don't know that that's necessarily true. When I was probably about 10, I campaigned for one, and I have no idea why other than I met him. And so I rode around on a bicycle handing out this literature and telling people they need to vote for him. And nobody ever challenged me till my uncle did, and he said, "What do you know about him?" And I sat there and gave him a 5-minute speech about him, and then he said, "Oh, well, I guess I'm going to vote for him now."
Well, you know, I grew up in a town in Canton where the head of the Republican Party and the head of the Democratic Party lived on the same street as me at the end of the road, right next door to each other. And this was during the Bill Waller campaign, and then also during the Cliff Finch campaign. And we couldn't play football with the Republicans. The Republicans couldn't play football with the Democrats. So some days you go play Democrat football, some days you play Republican football. They'd come out there and get us out. But I mean, we grew up in getting along in the same neighborhood until the election. The election took place, and everything went back to normal. And that's the Mississippi that everybody grew up here. Republicans, Democrats, we all got along. Then the parties flipped, and then the Republican Party today is the old Democratic Party to a degree. And you know, you just look at it and go, it isn't.
That's what I was about to say. I'm a big fan of John Bryant.
Yeah.
Wish he was still alive.
Yes.
The grandpa was a carpenter, voted for Lincoln, voted for Eisenhower because Lincoln won the war. And
Yeah.
so I mean, we have now just switched labels. I mean, the views are the same as they've been. We
Yeah.
just switched labels, and we'll probably switch them back again.
And I mean, Trump is basically really taking it back. I feel like racial politics, Kamala and them have done such a great job of putting it out there in a situation that they have killed racial politics. I believe that the only people left of that group is, well, us 62 and ups. We will recall it, but the other people they're getting they don't care about raising money about what about us. The mind is a terrible thing to waste. They don't even know what that means. I mean, all of that's gone. And I guess it's going with the Al Sharptons and all them. They've raised all the money they can raise. Everybody saw them get fat on money, and then nobody for a while there. It looked like there was a movement to move in and come up with new ways to raise that money and keep it in that community. But those people have failed. The About Us campaign has died. I mean, George Soros, go home. But anyway, that's my opinion. And it is my show.
It is your show.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
appreciate your opinion.
We're going to
Chip.
take a break, get back where he can give a good old, you get ready for a good old barn burner. Tell us what you're going to do. And we'll be back with Byron Carter and Taylor Turcotte on the Chip Matthews Show on WYAB. Byron Carter, Taylor Turcotte. Okay.
You wouldn't believe how many
Keep it
people
tuned
told me
here
I
to
need to be on this
103.9
show. I listen to you all the time.
WYAB.
You need to be on this
Get
show.
on the water.
I guess you don't.
Well, there was somebody else that existed before she existed.
Yeah.
And then that person's been completely expelled now.
To challenge the entire industry.
We have a lot of
Energy
mics.
features V2 technology with quicker
Yeah,
planning
you
and
and I
unrivaled
get
yield.
together.
Offers dual engines, digital
I needed
display,
somebody to work in the
control.
restaurant.
It's easy to see
Yeah, he
why
does.
Suzuki Power manages at Smith Marine.
Oh, so you knew earlier that you were coming after me. You were getting me on the show so I'd work in your restaurant.
It's like whenever I used to own Club Fire. So the rule was, if you wanted to be a security guard at Club Fire, you had to be a plumber or an electrician or something else. Otherwise, I didn't want a guy that wanted to come in there and fight all night. I wanted somebody to come in there and can help solve problems when problems occur.
Fortifying your residential or commercial location against the element. Complete exteriors, roofing and gutters with locations in Pearl.
I never would have come on the show if I would have known that.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
He was one of my first supporters when I was running early on. I didn't even know who you were, and I was like, Chip Matthews is supporting me. I don't know who he is, and I know he's at Gripping Ground, but I'm not sure who he is at Gripping Ground.
I got kicked out of the Madison County Executive Committee for describing how little work we did with adjectives. the wrong animal.
I've seen my bill through. The only time I've been around him was one afternoon.
Kim
Had
Wade here.
depositions
Cork and
supposed
Door
to start
Company has
at
been
5.
providing quality residential
And Cork Door
garage
said, I've
and
got
commercial
this
overhead
other
door
stuff I've
products
got to
to
get done by
Mississippians for
in the
over
morning.
50 years.
And I said, this
Cork
won't
and
take
Door
very
is a
long.
supplier of
He
garage
walked
door
up at
parts
4:30
and services
and said,
such
I'm
as
here.
lift
And then
mats,
said, I
commercial
guess you're going to be
residential
my
door
friend for the next
operators,
5
as
hours.
well as Clopay, sectional
And she
commercial
looked at me
residential
like,
doors.
it's going to take 5
commercial
hours.
sheet
I said,
and
you know
rolling
what? It's going
steel
to take
doors
5 hours.
and
The very
Cornell,
first question
rolling
I asked
steel
him,
and shutter,
what is your
many
name?
in stock for the
And he
same
goes,
day
you want my
pickup.
given name? You want
Corkanddoor.com.
every single question was that
Corkanddoor.com.
way.
Hi there, it's
And now
Lori
when
from
I
the
said something
mailroom.
about,
Of course you know
you
we
weren't-
offer
you're
shipping with
licensed in
UPS,
Mississippi, but you
FedEx,
didn't pass the
DHL, and the
Mississippi
Postal Service.
board.
But did you know about all the
Oh,
other
we're gonna go into
services
that
we
now?
offer? We
Took
have
off on
stamps,
10
envelopes,
minutes ago,
boxes,
but
wrapping
he
paper,
failed the
greeting
Mississippi
cards, and gift
board, but
bags.
passed
We
the
also
Georgia
offer
and
gift
transferred
wrapping.
me.
You can drop off your gifts and we will have them wrapped
did
and
take
ready to go.
about
Come
3.5
check us out.
hours
We
to
are
end
south
up.
of Germantown
Other
High
trains
School,
gave up
north of
Mississippi.
Gluckstadt Road at 272 Calhoun Station Parkway,
all gang.
DC. Mailroomgluckstadt.com.
So Chris has,
Your air
Chris is wearing me out. Huh?
Chris has a question on here.
Systems and services. We can install air purification UV.
Okay, here's the
not
new
only
one.
Odorize your home, but also remove 99% of airborne allergens from ducts in your home. This increases
There are 3 branches of government which has
savings
more
you
power
money. We
according
offer
to the
0%
Constitution.
interest financing. We proudly install
According to
reading
the
equipment.
Constitution.
Don't give him the answer until after he
Online
answers.
at
He sent me the answer.
mycareerconsultants.com.
I can give an example of that too.
Jim, I don't think he meant you to read that.
I didn't read it out loud.
Yeah, you did.
Not the answer.
Well, no, but don't give him the answer until after he answers.
Well,
I
yeah,
don't think-
I'm gonna tell him.
Well, I just wouldn't.
FBI agent. Just to let you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have my opinion. Probably it's not the same.
Well, I mean,
And he's talking about the Dred Scott decision, so it doesn't really matter.
I can't.
Administration. I'll be busy doing my business and letting people lead take care of the rest.
Man, stay on course. You just
Let people
let's
leave behind
sell
your
you.
business so you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
Sell
I
yourself.
think he, instead of answer that question, I think that he needs to.
3025, that's 601-987.
You think he should answer that question?
No. I think he needs to talk about what he's got to talk
Yeah,
about.
'cause that right
instead of
there is just-
answering- that's just
And we're back on a Tuesday morning. We got a little bit more time here. What are you doing in your hands? What are you talking about?
Oh, my live keeps going down on Facebook.
Well, okay.
Sorry.
Okay. I don't care about Facebook
Well, I know you
on
don't.
my show.
Well, I know.
Mine
Except that
isn't,
over there,
mine isn't going
we're
down.
trying to get me and Chip on the same page with this. but-
Okay. Okay, we got Byron Carter in the studio. He's running for Supreme Court Justice. Okay. We've been rattling your brain with legal opinions and stuff that not normally part of an interview. I have lots of questions for lawyers and judges. But anyway, why should we vote for you?
I can give you a long answer to that too.
Then give me that.
And in part to answer that last question or last statement, I'm a big fan of Coach Mike Leach.
Yes.
He not only could interpret and analyze defenses and was the best at it ever. He also analyzed other subjects, and that's what made people think he was crazy.
But he was a lawyer.
He was.
So that makes him crazy. Okay. Okay. I hate to say that. That's just the way it is.
Shakespeare did not say let's kill all the lawyers. That's misinterpreted too.
Well, he wasn't a lawyer. Okay.
But he analyzed things, and so I looked at the things he said, and I usually agreed with him, but I liked the way he analyzed, and that's my personality, which is why I said earlier, my personality and such is why I think I'm perfect for this position. I do like to analyze things, and so where I think that comes into play here is you can analyze facts, analyze the law, mesh those together to decide whether the judge and jury were correct or incorrect. That's what a Supreme Court justice does. Most of them, I've met all the justices of the Mississippi Supreme Court and the Court of Appeals, and once before in Alabama. Most have the same type brain. which they may not, their wives could understand and explain that better than they could. My wife has to put up with a lot of things I do and say. Not quite as bad as Coach Leach, but I'm probably close. But I grew up in Mississippi. I'm a Mississippian. I love the state of Mississippi, which everybody says, but I really do. I love the national anthem.
There you go.
I tear up every time I hear it, and that's not for political purposes. I do that. It's part of just who I am. But I'm an Eagle Scout, which I think shows my personality, and shows who I am.
And you were an Eagle Scout when it counted to be an Eagle
Right,
Scout.
right. They didn't give those away. I don't
Not a participation award.
No, and it was, well, I don't know if I'm supposed to even say that. It was a boys' scouts, but
Right.
but I did that. Then I've gone to law school. I've got 4 older sisters, and actually my mother always wanted me to tell this, and it doesn't mean a thing to me. But my aunt, my mother, my 4 sisters, and I were all valedictorians of our high school class.
That means y'all smart.
I don't know what that means.
You're supposed to be smart.
We were around a bunch of dumb people we were in school with, but they don't vote. None of them are in this district to vote for them, so it didn't make a difference.
So that's your problem. Were you a valedictorian?
I was.
And you didn't know to live in your same district with your family?
No. Well, I have one sister in this district, the rest aren't. And the 2 they're big Ole Miss fans or not. But
Hey, okay. You're wasting time. You only got a minute and a half. We got to do news.
But I'm one of, actually I'm on the same line, which has had nothing to do with this election. But I'm one of the few people that wanted Southern to win the national championship in baseball the 3rd year, so we could all do it, so we could do something with.
I kind of agreed
toward
with
the rest
that.
of the
I
nation.
kind of agreed
I'm
with
a
that.
USM grad, so.
But after clerking, I decided then that, so that said earlier, that I wanted to come back and be a Supreme Court justice or a Court of Appeals justice, an appellate court judge. My whole career has been aimed toward getting better at that. And so I think I'm the only candidate. Well, I know I'm the only candidate that has done that. So I'm very capable of going in right now and running.
Okay.
But we got some candidates who have never had an appeal. Well, they don't have the experience for doing this.
Okay.
And I do.
And you write appeals to this, that, and the other. And I hate to cut you off. We're fixed to be through. Byron Carter, Supreme Court Justice, y'all. He's running. He's educated, ethical, and experienced. VoteByronCarter.com to read more on him. Taylor,
Yes.
see you later this week.
See ya.
And of course, everybody, you can go to the polls and vote today. The lines are long, but they're going to be longer later. And it may be raining on election day. So go ahead and vote today. Vote absentee. Get out and vote. Remember Byron when you're there, if you think he's the guy for you. Also, Ron Eller. We got to get rid of Benny Thompson. We'll see y'all back here Monday on the Chip Matthews Show. Watch for some special things that we'll be doing online during the week. And Jameson Haygood is next.
Bye, y'all. Sorry it was cutting in and out, the live broadcast. Hopefully Chip and I'll have it running better next week. Y'all have a great day.
1 week till election day. CBS
Oh, there are my comments. Comments were coming up on the page.
Yep.
Speak soon, and he'll campaign in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, we gotta get our
Wow.
StreamYard where we're both.
No, we had a lot of people commenting, and I didn't see them.
Where's your tower?
Right here.
Tower for the station.
ZOT.